Thank you so much for coming. It's really exciting to see such a fantastic room full of leaders and amazing brands. So yeah, please do stick around, have a drink, because I think everyone in this room is on the cutting edge just by being here. And yeah, we've vetted everyone, so we know you're all great folks, and you should all. I think this is half of the value as well, just to talk to others in the industry. So we're all here today because there's an agentic discovery shift going on. And we're in a similar inflection point today as we were in the early 2000s when Google went from 10% of Yahoo search volume to 10x it. This previous shift had winners. Many of you know TripAdvisor. They got to a 15 billion market cap. The way they did this is understanding that algorithm. They put out hundreds of backlinks as awards. So if you're a hotel or a restaurant, you'd get a little 5-star award. You put that on your website. That would be a backlink to TripAdvisor, which is how the PageRank algorithm worked. And they dominated in this era. Who's heard of virtual tourist? I've given this, as the L'Oreal folks know, talk many times. I was doing it last week with them. And no one ever has heard of virtual tourist. They actually started the same month as TripAdvisor and went bankrupt in 2017. Many reasons some businesses succeed and some fail, but if you listen to the CEO of TripAdvisor, as I have, he talks about SEO as being a key part of his strategy. Today, we're in the era of shopping agents. On Black Friday alone, 14 billion of sales was driven by shopping agents, and it influenced 20% of purchases, according to Salesforce. According to our friends at Capgemini, who are in the room with us today, 60% of consumers have replaced traditional search engines with AI shopping agents for product recommendations. And Google itself has moved, as we'll talk about, with 60% of Google searches ending without a click. So I think it's important to lay the foundation of why this is different. We're no longer optimizing for keywords. We're optimizing for the world knowledge of an LLM. And this is taken from the Amazon Science paper on Cosmo, and it basically details how this works. The LLM understands the user and their behavior and search history deeply. The user puts in a prompt. These prompts are typically 26 words now, much longer than the 2 or 3 words on Google. This goes into the world. This is turned into tokens and goes into the world knowledge of the LLM. The LLM then kind of processes all of this, and it will generate a specific response. This is a long kind of technical way of saying that the world has shifted. We're no longer trying to optimize for this particular keyword or that particular keyword. I used to work at Search in Amazon. I can tell you the A9 algorithm used to work by kind of stack ranking keywords on 30 signals. So you'd have price, you'd have sales velocity, you'd have reviews. This is not how these operate anymore. And to make matters more fun and more complicated, when you do a search in a generative engine, it does query fan out. And this is our data from 5.2. We've moved to 5.4 last week. And we've seen from our initial reporting, I can share it afterwards, that even more query fan out is happening. But on average in 5.2, we'd see 10.2 new queries that ChatGPT would run when you asked it a question. And you yourself can see this if you just open up its thinking when you talk to it. And then on top of that, it's going to multiple sources. And now in 5.2, we saw it going to 15.4 on average sources for commerce, which is obviously what we're focusing on. So we're in this rapidly evolving landscape. We're currently here where AI shopping agents is widely adopted. We will, and I am absolutely positive of this, move to a world where agents are doing all the shopping for us. And again, we'll discuss more of this in the presentation. But critically, for consumer brands and retailers, this shrinks the digital shelf. So historically, we used to have about 200 to 500 items in the store shelf. In the old days of Amazon, 3 or 4 years ago, we would have 50 on page 1, and if you were there, you'd be fine. When you're talking to an AI agent like ChatGPT or Rufus, you now get about 5. And then soon we're going to be in the world of 1. You ask your agent to find something for you, it will give you the answer, and you'll say, thank you very much for doing all this research for me, and move on with your day. So that's scary, but there is some good news. The good news is that GEO adoption is still low, and this is from 2025, so this is a year old, so maybe this has changed slightly. But still, we're still at the cutting edge of this today. And the second piece of good news is if you do this well, consumers trust AI more than their friends and family. They trust it more than social media. They trust it more than search engines. They trust it more than the brand.com. So if you can optimize well, as the panel will discuss today, you're going to be in a good spot. So my goal of today is to kind of set the scene of where we are, and it's such a fast-moving space that I'm going to run through all the different agents and just give some thoughts on it, and it's going to hopefully set up the panel quite nicely of how to actually optimize for this. So we'll start with Amazon Rufus, in my opinion, the most advanced shopping agent. As I mentioned, this is, in the previous slide, this is not the first LLM that Amazon have used. The first LLM that Amazon used was in 2023. They did an A/B test on 10% of US traffic, which is a hell of a lot of traffic. They saw a 0.7 increase in product sales, and they said in their science paper, and my team now has basically read every single Amazon science paper, and Walmart science paper, and Target science paper, and ChatGPT science paper, and very rarely do we ever get revenue numbers in them. In fact, I don't think we've ever seen it before, but they said it's going to be worth billions when they rolled this out. This was in 23. Today, in the latest earnings call, Andy Jassy said that Rufus is used by 300 million customers and delivered 12 billion in incremental sales. And crucially, which is why they're going to push the adoption of this, customers that use it are 60% more likely to purchase. There's some fantastic data from Sensor Tower of conversion, and it kind of speaks to what Andy Jassy was talking about, that those who use Rufus convert 40% of US sessions now use Rufus, and it has 3x higher, so even higher than what Andy Jassy reported on. And as I said, I think, in my opinion, Rufus is the most advanced engine. They have reasoning, they have citations, they have memory, but we're here in the UK. I used to work at Amazon, as I mentioned, and what happens is Amazon rolls something out in the US, and about a year later, we get it here in the UK. So what do we have coming down the road to us pretty quickly? We have hyper-personalization. This is all live in the US, where you ask Rufus a question, and it will give you a very specific answer based on your search history. We have visual search, so you can look for fashion or kettles or whatever you care about in a specific visual sense. They have this product comparison where you can kind of ask it about two different products, and it will go through and detail all of that for you. We have price history. This is going to put a lot of the price tracking people out of business, but you can see when is a good time to buy, and then you can buy it in Rufus when the price drops, and have that agentic kind of checkout. You can have agentic reordering, and basically, they have subscribe and save, but you can kind of do this via Rufus. And which is probably most crazy, you can browse the web. And why would Amazon send traffic somewhere else? I can't pretend to know the answer, but I think what it says is they're really serious about building the world's best shopping agent as they build the world's best e-commerce website for the last 20 years. And they also, I think yesterday, this is one of the new slides for the L'Oreal folks, they launched sponsored prompts. So this is now live. You can basically see what you can't actually control what Rufus will say about your product, which is a bit frustrating. This is taken from the product listing and the brand store, but you can bid on to have specific questions follow up, even on competitors, and try and sell your product through Rufus. And I believe this will be the default advertising mechanism on Amazon. And I also believe that by the end of the year, Rufus will be the dominant search. So I think we'll see this very, very soon. We'll then kind of catch you guys up on ChatGPT. So 1 in 4 conversations in ChatGPT are potentially relevant for brands. This is according to their own data released in Q3 or 4 last year. They've just, as I mentioned, launched ChatGPT Thinking, or 5.4 Thinking. Basically, this reduces the hallucinations, 33% less likely to be false, 18% less likely to contain any errors. You always have to take these stats that they put on their own website with a pinch of salt, but I think it at least speaks to the direction that they're trying to take the new models. They launched the Agentic Commerce Protocol. We're going to talk more about this because they've actually only onboarded 12 vendors on this, so I'm excited for Gloria to announce what we've launched in this space, because ChatGPT has been very slow to actually onboard anyone onto this. But they've launched this, so you can see where the future's going. You ask a question, you can check out in ChatGPT through their protocol. And yeah, I love this quote from Sam Altman. I won't read it, but basically, I'll read a little bit of it. It points to where he wants to take the product, which is basically a super personal assistant. So he said last year that memory was his favorite feature, and it kind of speaks to where he wants to take the product. You'll have this entity that gets to know you, that connects to all of your apps, that you don't just prompt it, it will proactively message you and basically help you out with your entire life. So that's the direction that we're going in. We've seen an Quiet. Who here has played around with OpenClaw? Cool, that's a few of you. So there's been Quiet of OpenClaw. We're playing around with it as well. It's super, super cool. It's basically AI without any guardrails is how I would describe it. But it basically can then go and take a whole load of action for you. And Aqua hired the founder of OpenClaw and again points the direction of this agent that they want to take their product in. They've launched apps in ChatGPT. I think this is most relevant for the brands in the room because the retailers are on here. And we have, for example, CEO of Target talking about how they're focused on that app, and we're working with some of our customers on this. So this points to kind of how they want to have this all-encompassing agent that is going to take all these actions for all these different action connected partners or in their interface. They've launched ChatGPT Health. Again, this is going to be a very big one. It connects to your MyFitnessPal and your food tracking, your sleep tracking, and then essentially will, with UCP, be able to recommend you specific supplements or whatever else you need. So what are you going to trust in the future? A Google ad or what ChatGPT connected to all your health data is recommending for your specific request on your stomachache, whatever you have. And they've also launched ads. Not much here to say, apart from that it's coming and they need to monetize, and we'll see how this develops. And I think lastly, I think this is my last one, they've hired the guy from Apple, I forget his name now, who designed the iPhone, and they're going to launch a physical device. And I've seen this in, I was in San Francisco about 2 weeks ago, and a lot of the VCs I'm meeting were all wearing these kind of physical devices, recording all these meetings, a bit like you have a note taker. They've got that all in kind of in person now, and I think it points to kind of the direction that, it'd be super useful, right? If you can just remember all of the conversations you have today with everyone, you're going to forget, but soon we'll all have OpenAI device kind of helping us remember everything. Who here manages US? Okay, I'll go through this really quickly then. So Sparky is obviously Walmart's solution to this. What I like about Walmart is just the quotes coming out of their senior leadership on agentic commerce is absolutely wild. So we have the CTO saying that the search bar will be replaced by Sparky. He said this like a few months ago. We have the CFO saying that roughly half of Walmart's apps users have used it, and that shoppers who place orders via Sparky are 35% larger. So again, we can see why all these retailers are defaulting to this, because it's higher conversion, higher basket sizes. Why wouldn't you? And one of the things we do at Azoma is we track citations. And yeah, I won't go into this because people here aren't interested in Walmart. But broadly, we see it acting more like ChatGPT, and Rufus kind of acting like its own thing. The next one is Gemini. Gemini is actually the smartest model on the market. Google are really catching up, and this is an independent benchmarking of all of the different models and their intelligence. So we're seeing much wider adoption of Gemini, quite literally stealing market share from ChatGPT and becoming more prominent. And the advantage that Google have is that it is linked to all of your apps, right? They have your Gmail, they have your Google Docs, they have your calendar, and therefore their ability to build an agent which is helpful and useful to you is going to be higher than OpenAI, who are also trying to do this, but kind of pushing up a stream. They have their own commerce protocol. Again, I won't go into details on this because I'll leave it to Gloria to discuss what we're announcing today. And then Meta. I mean, who thought that Meta would be the kind of fifth one that I wanted to include over Anthropic or Grok or anything else? But I'm really interested in Meta. First of all, the user adoption is kind of staggering. I mean, we all know this ourselves. People spending an hour a day on average on their apps. Too much time, probably we would all think. They've just acquired yesterday, I think it was, the Molt book, which is the social networking for agents. So they're going to also, I don't know what this is going to mean in reality, but they're also going to have social networking they're looking at this space. And Mark Zuckerberg specifically talked about this in the last Q4 earnings call. He talked about how he saw that there's implications for commerce in Meta, and that today people are just finding kind of entertaining content or not entertaining content, but actually soon they're going to have these agentic shopping tools which will help people find exactly what they're looking for. And what I think this speaks to is that we're not going to live in a world of paid ads anymore. We're going to live in a world of kind of agentic shopping agents, and Meta want to be one of those. And they've actually already launched it in the US. Not many people have downloaded this app. Meta claim they are have the highest adoption of all AI agents because they have them kind of in default in WhatsApp and Instagram, which is not quite true, but they do have their own app, and they do have shopping there live today. And of course, they have the glasses, and you can imagine walking around, like we talked about devices, you can imagine walking around, going into the supermarket, getting an offer kind of spring up on your glasses, or messaging you in your ear that you should go to this aisle. So the Meta joining this agentic commerce race, I think, is really interesting, and we're watching it closely. So what's on the horizon? We kind of touched upon all of these. The first one is going to be virtual agents. Kim Kardashian is not buying her groceries, and Jeff Bezos is not deciding what present to buy for his kids' friends' birthday parties. They have human agents, and we will all soon have these virtual agents. And I think the OpenClaw Acquihire by OpenAI kind of speaks to this, and everything Sam Altman has said. I think we're also going to have wearables, be it Meta, be it other players coming into the picture, tracking us and kind of helping us to order supplements or fitness or whatever it will be. And then kind of AI-infused appliances. So we're going to have smart robots in our homes by Tesla, or washing machines that help us reorder detergent. And I think, as I say, we strongly believe that agentic shopping is going to be the new default, and that everything the panel is going to talk about next about optimizing for these shopping agents is important, but it's step one. So what should you guys do? We're going to go into a lot more details about this in very shortly, but broadly, there's kind of 4 key things that we recommend to our customers. Number one is understand what questions your customers are asking the AI, and create content that answers them. So this could be product listings, this could be blogs, this could be Reddit posts, this could be a whole load of Q&As on Amazon or whatever it will be. But basically, answering questions that your customers are asking is critical for the LLMs. Secondly, you want to identify the sources that AI cites, and again, like Azoma can help with this, and you want to be featured in those sources. And Ella's going to talk more about this from a PR point of view, and I think many of us in the room are kind of e-commerce. We probably don't come across PR much, but it's very important, and Ella's going to detail and share some case studies about how PR is important, but also social media is important, Reddit and LinkedIn and all of these. The third one is empowering teams for success, and we're really happy and grateful to be working with 8 of the largest 30 CPGs and many others, and many of you in this room, and we see that there's silos in these businesses, of course there are, and they're not set up for the agentic world, and trying to empower that if you're in a leadership position is important. Building AEO task force, enabling them to take action across the brand.com website and social media to feed these agents if you want to be present in Amazon Rufus or Walmart Sparky. And then lastly, kind of the new input metric is, as you probably all know by now, is share visibility that is important to track as well, just to see a baseline of where you are. And yeah, obviously that's what we're building at Azoma. I won't go into details on this because Gloria will share our roadmap, and it's very exciting. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, and stick around afterwards. And yeah, thank you.